Right. So today we are going deep on RLHF.
Reinforcement learning from human feedback.
Yeah, RLHF. And we've got some new research, and it's asking a really big question.
It is, yeah.
Does this really scale? We've seen LLMs explode in performance
Right.
with more data, more compute, but will RLHF follow suit?
It's a great question, and a lot of people want to know.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to be diving into today. And I think, some of the findings
Yeah.
might surprise you. They surprised me. So,
Yeah, RLHF's kind of this bridge,
yeah.
between, just raw language generation
Right?
and what we as humans actually want these models to produce.
Totally.
But one of the questions this research is trying to answer is, if we
Yeah.
just throw more resources at RLHF, are we going to get proportionally better results?
Right. So we know in that initial pre-training phase,
Right.
more data, bigger models often leads to better performance.
Yeah.
But what happens when we apply that same logic to RLHF?
Well, that's when things get really interesting.
Okay, lay it on me.
So one of the first things this research looks at is the impact of sampling multiple responses per prompt during the training process.
Okay, so more responses, more data for the reward model to learn from. Right.
Right. At first glance, that seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, more is always better. Right.
Right, more is better. But it turns out it's not quite that simple.
Okay, so it's not that simple.
So they found that while increasing the number of responses does help initially,
Okay.
the gains plateau pretty quickly.
Okay, so there's like a sweet spot.
There is a sweet spot, yeah.
Do they see what that sweet spot is?
Yeah, based on their experiments, it seems to be around like 4 to 8 responses per prompt.
4 to 8, okay.
Yeah, beyond that, you start to see diminishing returns.
Wow, so it's really about, quality over quantity.
That's right.
I like that it's not just about throwing more data at the problem.
No, not at all.
Okay, so we've got that sampling sweet spot. What else?
Okay, so this next finding really dives into the reward model itself. And it's this idea that, we might assume that bigger reward models packed with more parameters are going to be able to capture more nuances of human preferences and guide the policy model more effectively.
Makes sense to me. More parameters, more learning.
Right. So did they find that was true?
I don't know. Tell me.
Kind of. So they did find that larger reward models can boost the performance of the policy model.
Okay, that's good. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah.
But there's a twist.
Oh, there's always a twist.
The improvement in the policy model actually lags behind the gains seen in the reward model itself.
Wait, so the reward model is getting better.
Yeah.
But the policy model is not.
Yeah, it's not reaping the full benefits.
Why?
What's going on?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the researchers don't really have a definitive answer.
Wow.
It's an area for further investigation, but it really suggests that there's
something more going on under the hood that we haven't quite figured out yet.
I mean, it's like the reward model is learning all this great stuff.
Yeah.
About, what humans want.
Yeah.
But it's not telling the policy model.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so weird. That's fascinating.
It is. It is.
Okay, so we've got diminishing returns with the response sampling, and now we've got this mysterious gap between reward model and policy model improvement.
Yeah.
So maybe this RLHF scaling thing is not as straightforward as we thought.
You're picking up what this research is putting down.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad I'm following along.
And it gets even more interesting.
Oh, no, dip me.
This next discovery really challenges the bigger is better assumption that we often make.
Right, I'm ready. Tell me.
It all boils down to the size of the policy model.
Okay, so the LLM itself.
Yeah.
Okay, what did they find?
They found that larger policy models actually benefit less from RLHF.
What? Hold on, that's the opposite.
Yeah, it is.
That's the opposite of what we usually see.
It is.
Larger models are supposed to be better.
Right, you would think so.
So how is this possible?
Well, it really suggests that there's a fundamental limitation with the current techniques, especially when applied to these massive models.
So it's like we hit a wall.
It's like we hit a wall.
And just making things bigger isn't going to break through it.
That's right, and that's kind of profound.
It's like RLHF is this amazing tool.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's just not enough.
Right, and that really raises the question of, what other approaches might be needed
to align these models.
To truly align these models.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, and one that we'll definitely be exploring as we dive deeper into this research. But before we get too theoretical, let's ground this conversation in some practical insight.
Yes, let's do that, because our listeners are probably like, okay, This is all very interesting.
Right.
But what can we do with this information?
So let's start with that sampling sweet spot.
Okay.
Remember, 4 to 8 responses per prompt seems to be the optimal strategy.
Okay, so be strategic about your sampling.
Be strategic, yeah.
What else?
Okay, so next, while there is that disconnect between reward and policy model improvement,
Right.
investing in larger reward models can still be beneficial.
Okay, so bigger reward models, still worth it.
Still worth it.
But we might need to rethink
Yeah.
how we measure their impact.
Right.
Okay, what's the last takeaway?
The last takeaway is all about the data you feed your reward model.
Okay.
The research really suggests that focusing on prompt diversity
Okay.
is way more important than just increasing the volume of data.
So variety is the spice of life
That's right.
when it comes to reward model data.
Yeah,
That's great. And I think that seems like a good place to pause.
it does.
We've unpacked a lot,
We have.
and we've got even more to talk about.
Yes, we do. So we've seen that more data doesn't always mean better results.
Yeah, right. It's not that simple.
And there are some really interesting things happening
Yeah,
with the reward model and the policy model.
absolutely. And we're going to keep digging into that.
Yeah.
But first, I want to talk about
Yeah.
these different approaches to training the reward model.
Right. So the research talks about
Yeah.
outcome-based and process-based reward models.
Okay, yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, and it's all about how you're
Right.
crafting that reward signal.
Yeah, so can you break those down for me?
Sure. So imagine you're grading a student's essay.
Okay.
An outcome-based reward model is like giving a final grade
Yeah.
without any feedback on the individual steps.
So it's just like, did they get the right answer?
Exactly. It's all about the end product.
The final outcome.
Right. Did the LLM generate a response that achieves the goal?
Got it. Okay. So what about process-based?
Process-based is like giving feedback on the student's drafts.
Okay.
You're highlighting strengths and weaknesses.
So you're looking at the steps they took.
Exactly. You're considering the thought process.
That makes sense.
So which one is better?
Well, I was going to ask you that.
Well, it depends.
It always depends.
It always depends. So the researchers found that process-based models can be really effective
Okay.
for specific tasks, like math problems.
Where the steps really matter.
Yeah, where the steps are
So
well-defined.
if you have a very structured task,
Right.
then process-based might be the way to go.
Exactly. But there's a trade-off.
There's always a trade-off.
Process-based models can struggle to generalize.
Okay, so they're kind of like specialists.
They're specialists, yeah.
Okay.
Whereas outcome-based models are more like generalists.
So they're more flexible,
They're more flexible.
but maybe not as precise.
Right, exactly.
When those steps really matter.
That's right.
I mean, it's like different learning styles
Yeah, it is.
in humans.
It is.
Some people are really good at, step-by-step instructions.
Right.
And others are better at, figuring things out on their own.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder if we can learn from these parallels to develop better RLHF methods.
I think that's a great point.
It's all about that human element.
Right, because ultimately we're
Yeah.
trying to align these models with human values.
Exactly. And that brings up a really important question.
Okay, what's that?
If RLHF isn't perfect,
Yeah.
if it doesn't scale perfectly,
Especially as these models get bigger.
right, then what does that mean for the future of AI alignment?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
And I don't think we have the answer yet.
No, but this research is a call to action.
Okay.
We need to think outside the box.
Okay, let's just keep scaling things up.
Exactly. We need new approaches.
Maybe completely new approaches.
It's
So
possible.
it's like we're at this crossroads.
It does feel that way.
We've seen the potential of
Yeah.
LLM,
Of LLMs, yeah.
but we're also starting to see the limitations,
The limitations, yeah.
and we need to figure out where we go from here.
We do.
Okay, well, I'm ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
It's definitely been a journey exploring this research on RLHF, and it seems like aligning these powerful LLMs is more challenging than we initially anticipated.
Yeah, it's not just about scaling up. It's about understanding how RLHF works, where it excels, and where it falls short.
Exactly. And I think this research really pushes us to think outside the box.
Absolutely. If scaling up RLHF isn't the ultimate answer,
Right.
then we need to explore new approaches.
What other avenues are out there? What else can we do?
Well, one area that comes to mind is interpretability.
Interpretability, yeah.
If we can understand how these models are making decisions,
Yeah.
we might be able to identify problems.
Right, like biases or inconsistencies or even dangerous tendencies.
Exactly. And we can address those issues before they become major problems.
I mean, it's all about making these models more transparent.
Transparency is key.
Right, so that people can trust them.
And use them effectively.
Yeah, no more black boxes.
We need to shed light on how these models work.
Another area I'm really interested in is robustness.
Robustness, yeah.
As LLMs become more integrated into our lives,
Right.
we need to make sure they're resilient.
To attacks or unexpected inputs.
We don't want a single bad prompt to take down an entire system.
Absolutely. Robustness is essential for safety and reliability.
It's almost like we need to give these models a sense of skepticism
Like a built-in ability to question the information they're given.
and to recognize potential threats.
Exactly. We need to align them with human values.
Because we humans, we question things.
We doubt.
We're naturally skeptical, and that's part of what makes us intelligent.
Right. And we need to instill that same critical thinking into these models.
It's a fascinating challenge, and it really highlights how important it is
Yeah.
to have different disciplines working together on AI alignment.
Absolutely. We need insights from psychology,
Philosophy to understand not just how to build intelligent systems.
and how to build systems that are aligned with our values and goals.
Well said. Well, this deep dive has been incredible.
It has.
We started with this idea of RLHF scaling, and we've uncovered so much complexity,
And nuance.
and I think that's the beauty of research.
It is.
It's about challenging assumptions.
And pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
And I think we've done that today.
I think so too.
But this is just the beginning.
It is.
As LLMs continue to evolve,
Yeah.
so will our methods for aligning them. It's an ongoing journey,
It is.
and we need to keep learning and adapting and refining our approaches.
Couldn't agree more.
And our listeners are part of this journey too.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but we've also raised a lot of questions.
We have.
And that's what a deep dive is all about.
It is. It's about sparking curiosity.
And inspiring new ideas.
And getting people thinking.
So to our listeners, we want to hear from you.
What are your thoughts on AI alignment?
What challenges are you grappling with?
What solutions do you see on the horizon?
Let's keep this conversation going because the future of AI depends on all of us.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Well said. That's a wrap, folks.